Hey there, drone fans. Rick here again from Drone Valley. In today's clip, I'll be reviewing the brand new OM4 from DJI. It's their latest stabilized smartphone gimbal, and it comes right on the heels of the Osmo Mobile 3 they released last year, but they built in some really clever and innovative features into the OM4 that separate it from pretty much every other smartphone gimbal on the market. Now, I was lucky enough to be invited into the NDA group to review this product, so I've had it for the last couple of weeks, and I've been out using it like crazy in the field. I actually took it on vacation with me last weekend, and you have to be really secret when you're using this stuff under NDA because nobody else can see it, so I've got to find fields where nobody's standing. I can't take pictures in public. I've been really careful about it, but what I like to do whenever I get a new piece of gear like this is I try to think about the changes from the last version. So for me, that Osmo Mobile 3 was a perfect stabilized gimbal for your smartphone. I'm thinking, if I built that product, what would I possibly change to the 4th generation to really make it worth your time? So I like to look at those deltas, and in this clip I'm going to explain exactly what you're getting with the OM4 and why it's different than the Osmo Mobile 3 and really why it's different than other stabilized gimbals out there for your smartphone. And one thing I love about DJI is that they don't rest on their laurels. Again, I think that Osmo Mobile 3 was a near perfect stabilized gimbal for your phone. The changes they've made really justify the product. I think they've really thought about it, and they listen to their users. They take feedback from people. I talk to them all the time and suggest things. This product really is born out of that need to create, that need to innovate, where they sit down and look at their products and think, yeah, it's pretty cool, but if we changed a few things, it'd be even cooler. So this product's got some innovations built into it. You're not going to see in any other gimbal on the market today, but I'll bet you, in 6 months' time, there's going to be a lot of people copying some of these innovations. So I'll get into all that stuff. So the way I'm going to organize the clip is I'll start with an unboxing of the product. A lot of people ask for that, so you know exactly what comes with the kit, just in case you need to buy something additional as an accessory. And then I'll list the specifications, because I get a ton of questions about how long does it take to charge? How long can I use it? What phone can I connect to it? So I'll go through the specifications. And then I'll spend some time talking about the changes they made mechanically and the changes they made digitally, because those are the things you really need to understand to see if this is the right product for you. And then after I'm done with that, I'll come back and do just kind of a final thoughts section, because I spent a lot of time with it and there's a few gotchas and things you'll want to know about that may take you a little while to figure out on your own, and I'll cover those in that final thoughts section. But anyway, let's get started with the unboxing. So they've done a great job. It's got a very, I want to say, an Apple-esque look. It's a white box, beautiful picture on the front, really substantial box. The product opens from the bottom, flap open like this. Now, I've had it open already. I've been out using it, but I'm going to pretend it's new. Anyway, inside the box on the top, there's a little flap up here, and you lift that up, and there's where all the goodies are. So you pull that out, you get a nice little carrier there, rubber sponge on the back to keep everything in place. Inside is the gimbal. So the stabilized gimbal looks a lot like the Osmo Mobile 3, but it's a lighter color. And you'll notice one thing right away, there's no phone clamp on there. What? There's no phone clamp? Yeah, that's one of the major innovations. One of the things that drove me nuts about the Osmo Mobile 3, I thought it was wonderful, but if you've ever used a cell phone, a stabilizer like this, the one pain you're going to have is mounting your phone on it, because putting a phone on it and balancing the phone could take a couple of minutes, and you want to use this spontaneously where you're going to capture some footage. You don't want to spend a few minutes sort of balancing the phone. So what they've done is actually made a magnetic clamp that goes on your phone and clamps onto this. So it basically attaches to the unit, and that's it. When you want to take it off, you take your phone off, but it's on your phone, so your phone's always balanced. You want to shoot, boom, it's on there, you're ready to go. All right, so that's the gimbal. I'll spend more time talking about that in a minute. They also include a little tripod. I think that's really a nice addition, where this can be handheld, but you can also use it with the tripod and stand it up, because if you're going to be doing YouTube videos with it, or you're going to be walking around with it, you can hold it like this. It'll give you a little extra extension as far as length goes, and you can also set it up in the tripod, put it on your desk, and use it that way. So that's pretty cool. In the bottom of the box is a connection cable for charging. Now, it uses a USB-C port to charge it. This is a USB-A, full-size USB-A. You can plug into any charger, and you've got a USB-C connection on this end that you can plug into the OM4 to actually charge it. There is no charger in the box, so that's one thing you need to know. You can use any standard USB-A charger, any standard 5-volt USB charger will work just fine. But if you don't have a charger like that, I can't imagine you wouldn't, because you've got a smartphone, you need to buy a charger for it. But okay, small point. Inside this top part is where all the goodies are. So I'd mentioned that a second ago. So let me pull open this side. Now, first thing you'll notice is a template that you can actually put on your phone to decide where you're going to mount this ring. So there's a little magnetic ring here, so you don't have to use the clamp. You can actually mount this on your phone permanently, and this is sort of the alignment guide to do that. In addition to that, there's also a ton of manuals. I mean, a ton of manuals. So inside here is a safety guide There's a battery charging guide. There's a quick start guide. So all the stuff you need to know about how to use it, how to charge it, how to take care of it, what to watch for when you're using it, are in those manuals. That's great. Here's limited warranty information. So if you've got questions about it, you can get a hold of them. This is in a bunch of different languages. So spend some time. I know it's a boring exercise, but spend some time going through the manuals, because I'm going to do a ton of clips on this, starting with this one today. But you want to read through the manuals just so you understand everything you're supposed to be doing to take care of this thing, because it's a pretty good size investment. You want to make sure it lasts as long as possible. All right, so that's it as far as that box goes. So again, there's that. And inside here are some cleaning cloths and some other things that you can use to attach it to your phone, and I'll get into that in the next section. And then finally, I think this is a really nice touch. Boom, they build a bag in. So when you're traveling with this, you can actually put it inside the bag and protect it. Now, it's pretty durable the way it is right now, but having a little bag like this you can put it in, number one, lets everybody know you're a fan of Osmo, and it's got the DJI logo on it. But it's just a nice thing if you're going to put it in your luggage when you're going on vacation or in your backpack. Throw it in the bag, it'll just keep it from getting banged up. So that's pretty much it for the unboxing. Now, next we're going to take a closer look at this. I'll take a look at some of the mounting gear as well, but I want you to get a real good understanding of exactly what all the buttons, knobs, and connectors do, so that when you get it, you know how to charge it, you know how to use it, you know what the buttons in the front and the back do, and sort of how to move between the different modes. And then I'll come back with the specifications, and we'll get into the meat of it, where I talk about the mechanical differences and talk about the digital differences that this product brings to the market, because I've been playing with it for the last 2 weeks, and I'm here to tell you there are some incredibly fun things you can do with this. It's not your average gimbal for your cell phone. It's got a lot of cool features built into it. So I'll show you some of those. I've done examples on some of the features on the digital side. I think you'll get a kick out of those. So stay tuned, and we'll get into the closer look next. I wanted to start off with a closer look at the mounting hardware that comes along with the phone. There's 2 ways you can actually attach the phone to the gimbal. The easiest way is to use the clamp that DJI provides. Essentially, this clamp is spring mounted. You pull these out, clamp it around your phone, and then this magnet attaches to the gimbal magnet on the other side. There's also an alignment piece up here that'll fit right into the groove on the gimbal, so you'll know exactly how it gets aligned. It's really nice. They've got rubber inside, rubber on the arm, so it's not going to scratch up your phone at all. They also include an additional pad, because if you've got a smaller phone, you'll adhere this there to actually push that phone up against these ears on the end, make sure it's securely in that mount. Now, one thing to note is if you look along the edge here, you don't really see any writing or anything, but on the other side, you'll notice a little icon right there that looks like a camera. You want to make sure when you clamp this onto your phone that you point this side of it towards the camera. So whatever phone you're using, don't put it on backwards like this, or you'll have it aligned incorrectly. You want to make sure that you have this pointing the camera on your phone when you clamp this on there. And that's the way you'll do it for most of the phones that are out there. Now, if you want a more permanent mount, they do include this little fob here that'll glue in the back of your phone. You don't want to glue this directly to the glass on your phone, because it's really difficult to get off, and you don't want to crack that glass. So if you're going to use this on your phone, you'll actually put this 3M pad on the phone and glue this to the 3M pad. And before you do any of that, you'll want to use the wet cleaner and the dry cleaner. So you'll use this wet wipe, clean off the surface of your phone really well. It's alcohol. It'll take all the grease and the rest of the debris off your phone, and then dry it with that pad and make sure that it's completely dry. Then you can use this template. You'll peel this off. There's a sticky pad underneath there, and you'll put this on your phone. It's got outlines for all the different phones that are out there, and you want to make sure you center it on your phone. Once that's stuck to your phone, then you'll apply this first, obviously, then you'll put this on, and then you'll peel that off the back. There's protection on there, and you'll line it up here directly with this cutout, and that'll put it directly in the center of your phone. It's a perfect position to make it balanced on the gimbal. And what's nice about this too is that the unit itself is pretty cool on its own. I think, again, it's great that the marketing guys were involved with getting the DJI logo on the back of these, because now if it's glued to your phone, every time somebody sees it, they're like, hey, it's a DJI, what do you got there? So it's advertising for them. But in addition to that, they took the extra step to actually build this to be more functional than just a disc that attaches to the gimbal. They put this little stand in there, which is kind of cool. So when you glue this to your phone, you've now got a stand that'll have your phone stand up, and you can actually watch videos on it. It's a nice little addition to it. Plus, it's a finger ring that when you're holding your phone, you slide it over your finger, and you can do what you have to do on your phone like that, and it's a lot harder to drop it, so it's not going to fall as easily. So good on DJI for doing that. They also include a second pad in case you want to move this to a new phone, as well as a second adhesive pad that you can use with the new phone as well. So everything you need to get started is in the kit. And again, I think you're going to use this for probably 80 or 90% of the phones you're going to want to attach. But if you want a more permanent mount, or you like the fact that you've got a stand and a finger ring here, you can glue that to the back of your phone. The one thing you want to avoid is to try to use a phone with a case on it. It just doesn't work well. I've tried it a couple of times, even with thinner cases, and it's just not something that the gimbal can handle. So you're definitely going to want to have your phone without any cases, preferably with the clamp, or if you want a more permanent mount, use the fob. On the front of the gimbal, you'll see a collection of buttons and controls that allow you to operate the product. On the lower right-hand corner, you'll see a button labeled M, and this button has several functions that affect the gimbal's operation. If the gimbal is powered off, you can tap this button once to check the current charge level of the device. If you hold the M button, the unit will power up. Once the unit is turned on, you can tap the M button once to switch between photo and video modes, and if you tap it twice, the gimbal will switch between portrait and landscape mode. You can also press and hold the button until you hear a single beep to enter or exit standby mode, and if you press and hold it until you hear a double beep, the gimbal will turn off. Above the M button is the shutter button, and this controls your recording. You can tap this to take a photo or to start and stop video recording. In photo mode, you can also hold the shutter button to take burst photos. To the left of these two buttons is the joystick that controls the movement of the gimbal and your phone. It comes configured to move the camera's view down when you push up and up when you push down. You can flip this action in the settings if you want to later on. The right and left movements typically follow the motion of the joystick, and again, this is adjustable in the settings. On the left side of the gimbal is the zoom slider. You can use this to easily zoom into and out of a scene by simply sliding it with your thumb. On the rear of the gimbal is the trigger button, and this has several functions as well. If you press and hold this trigger, you'll enter lock mode on the gimbal. You can press once to start and stop ActiveTrack, and press twice to recenter the gimbal. If you press 3 times, the gimbal will switch between front and back cameras. Finally, if you press once, let go, and then press and hold the trigger, you'll enter sport mode. On the side of the gimbal, you'll find 2 charging ports. The USB-C port is used to charge the gimbal assembly, and underneath the cover is a full-size USB-A port that can be used to charge an external device from the internal batteries on the gimbal. On the bottom of the gimbal assembly, you'll find a 1/4" 20 threaded shaft that can be used to attach the included tripod for desktop operation or to attach it to a full-size tripod when you're out in the field and need more stability. The DJI OM4 is a very portable gimbal weighing only 390 grams. Depending on which mount you choose, the gimbal will be a little heavier. The phone clamp adds another 32.6 grams, and the ring is smaller and only adds 11.4 grams. Power for the gimbal is supplied by an internal 18650 lithium-ion battery that delivers 2450 mAh of current at 7.2 volts. The unit is charged through a USB-C port on the side, and the charging time is about 2.5 hours for a fully depleted battery. The gimbal will operate for about 15 hours on a full charge if it's correctly balanced, and also features a full-size USB-A port that can be used to charge other devices. The OM4 also features a 1/4" mounting hole in the bottom for use with the included desk tripod or for mounting on a full-size tripod for even more stability. While in operation, the gimbal has a wide range of motion in all 3 directions and can pan from -161.2 degrees to 171.95 degrees. It can roll from -136.7 degrees to 198 degrees, and it can tilt from -106.54 degrees to 235.5 degrees. Its maximum control speed is 120 degrees per second. The DJI OM4 utilizes more powerful motors than the Osmo Mobile 3 and can easily support phones weighing between 170 grams and 290 grams. The specialized magnetic phone clamp is designed to securely hold phones that are between 6.9 millimeters and 10 millimeters thick, and between 67 millimeters and 84 millimeters wide. These specifications cover the vast majority of modern phones on the market, but always check the DJI website to make sure that yours is compatible. I'll start by covering 2 important physical changes that DJI's introduced with the brand new OM4 that I think really help to improve its performance. The first has to do with the motors that control the stabilization. On this product, there are 3 motors, here, here, and here, in the 3 axes of rotation, and those motors' only responsibility is to keep that camera stable, to keep that phone exactly where it should be in 3D space. Now, the electronics inside are going to sense your hand movement and you walking around, and they're going to send signals to those motors that counteract that movement, and it's a bit of a tug of war that's going on between the motors and you moving around, but those motors are working all the time. They're doing most of the work in the gimbal. The challenge is, if they're underpowered, they're going to get hot. So what DJI did was upgrade those motors to stronger motors. Now, stronger motor is good for a lot of reasons. Number one, it's not going to have to work as hard, so it's not going to get as warm. It's not going to transfer that heat to your phone either, because if you've used these on really hot days, you might get temperature issues with your phone if you're out on a 95-degree day and you're filming for a long period of time. So having stronger motors that are cooler is a really good thing. Second, they're working less, so they're not going to draw as much power from your battery, which means you're going to be able to use it longer, which is another good thing. The third thing, which I think is really important, is because they're stronger, they're able to handle all the new phones that are hitting the market with larger screens and heavier cases. So you know, buying something like this, going forward, if you buy a bigger phone, you're not going to have issues with it. It's going to be able to handle that weight. So stronger motors in general are a really good thing. The second thing they did, which I think is brilliant, I don't use that word often, is they changed the way you actually attach your phone to the gimbal. Now, I've got a Osmo Mobile 3 right here, which looks almost identical to the new OM4, except for the way the phone attaches. Now, this has a clamp stuck to it, and I'll be honest, the bane of my existence on using any kind of smartphone gimbal is getting that phone balanced in the clamp. No matter whose you're using, you've got to spend a couple of minutes making sure that this thing is equally balanced in there before you power it up, just so you can get exactly the shot you need. Now, what I've done to cheat a little bit is I'll use a really thin case on it, and I'll put marks on the case where that clamp would go on so I can kind of eyeball it really quickly. But there's nothing more frustrating than being at a family event and having to say to people, hold on a second, hold on, I'm going to get this thing clamped in here, and it takes you a minute or two to get the phone balanced in the gimbal before you can actually start filming. So what DJI did, and I know it seems intuitive looking at these two, you're thinking, well, that's not that big leap here. I mean, I could have thought of that, but you didn't. DJI did. So what they came up with was a detachable clamp. Now, they could have made this sort of slide in or clip in or something like that, but they decided to make it magnetic, which again, I think is a really smart move. So you clamp this around your phone, just like this. And then once it's on your phone, boom, you stick it on there and boom, you can start recording. So it's a really easy way to sort of make sure that it's balanced because you've already centered this on your phone. You know exactly where it's going to be. And throughout the day, if you want to stop and use your phone, you can disconnect it. You can do what you got to do on your phone, and then you're ready to film again. Hold on a second. Boom, that's it. You're starting to film. You're ready to go. So great move on their part. But they took it a step further. Now, that would have been cool enough just to have the clamp like that. But I love the fact that they give you, it's not a pop socket, but it's sort of a ring that can glue on the back of the phone. So if you're brave and you want to glue it on your phone, there's actually a little shim that goes between those two so you can get it off later on. But this clips to the back of your phone. It actually glues on there, and that's all you need. It's on your phone all the time. So if you're using this guy an awful lot, that's a really good thing to do. But again, the marketing team at DJI are brilliant because this is not only the magnetic ring that holds it on there, but it's also a finger ring. So when you glue this on the back of your phone, you can actually put your finger through it and then operate your phone. It helps you not drop your phone when you're out on the road. So it's not quite a pop socket, but it's a really clever device. Also, if that's glued to the back of your phone, you can use this as a stand. So it'll actually stand up and you can watch movies on it or whatever. It gives you that sort of pedestal view, if you will, of your phone. So all that's really great. And again, the brilliant marketing team at DJI has got a gigantic DJI logo on the back of this. So if you glue this to your phone and you're walking around, that's advertisement for the company. And again, I love that kind of innovative thinking. So the first change was the heavier motors, which I think is really important because again, it's going to drain less electricity out of the battery, let you record a lot longer and handle the heavier phones. And the second is this magnetic clamp, which again, I know seems super simple, but what a genius move on their part to have something this innovative and this clever. I'm telling you, I think in the next 6 months, DJI innovates like this, somebody else is going to copy that. You're going to see that on a lot of gimbals out in the market down the road. But remember who came up with it. It was these guys from DJI. Who knows what they've got coming next for their OM5. But anyway, two physical changes I think are both really important and innovative. Now, next I'll get into the digital changes. And man, have they got some cool stuff over there. So in addition to building a pretty amazing stabilizer for your phone, DJI has also upgraded their software to add a bunch of cool features that, again, are unique in the space. Now, the first one they've introduced with this new OM4 is ActiveTrack 3.0. Now, DJI's been in the drone market forever. A lot of us fly their drones, and they were masters at coming up with stabilization technology initially, but more importantly, artificial intelligence that can recognize a person, lock on that person, and then follow them around. So they're flying around a three-dimensional space with the drones. They're using that same ActiveTrack 3.0 technology on the new OM4. And what's different about it is it's faster, it's harder to shake, and it can keep track of smaller objects, because one of the challenges the Osmo Mobile 3 had was if it was a really small object like a dog or a little kid, it sometimes would lose them when they're running around really quickly. So the ActiveTrack 3.0 is on their brand new drones. I've used it on their drones, and they've introduced it now with the OM4. So I'm going to go outside and show you just how cool that is, and then we'll come back and talk about some of the other features. Now we'll check out ActiveTrack, and the OM4 uses the very latest version, which is ActiveTrack 3.0. It's supposed to be much better for smaller objects like children or pets, and a whole lot harder to shake. Now I've got the OM4 set up on a tripod, the camera's facing me, and I've got gesture control turned on, so all I have to do to start this is hold up my hand, it starts counting down, and it's going to lock in on my face. Okay, it's got me, and it started the recording. Now I'm going to move around a little bit. I'll go over this way. Yep, got me just fine. Let me go over this way. All right, so far so good. Now I'm moving pretty slow and I'm in and out of the shadow, so it's doing a really good job of tracking me. But now I'm gonna break out some ninja moves. Let's see what happens. A little bit of a head fake. Okay, it's definitely checking me out. I'm gonna go this way. No, it's a fake out, I'm going this way. Okay, I'm gonna go high. I'm gonna go down low. Man, this thing is rock solid as far as tracking me. Now to stop the recording, all I have to do is hold up my hand. It's done. So that's been recorded on the phone at this point, and you can already imagine how cool that's going to be if you're doing product demonstrations, or if you're out in a field like this and you've got a beautiful vista behind you. You can do your YouTube videos on there, you can do your family vacation movies on there with the whole family behind you. It's just a wonderful feature that'll guarantee you're going to stay in the middle of the screen. No matter how much you move around and how much you go through calisthenics, it's going to keep you right in the middle of the screen. That ActiveTrack 3.0 is really impressive technology. I was doing all I could to shake that camera loose, and I hope you appreciate my ninja moves, because it was like 100 degrees in that field, and I was doing everything I could to get out of the frame, and that brilliant product kept me there in the center of that frame, and I couldn't lose it. So I'm thinking, boy, is that going to be perfect when you're doing selfie videos, or you're doing product demonstrations, or maybe you've got the family with you. You can hold the camera up, zeroing on you, and have you centered on the frame with all the people behind you in a beautiful vista in the distance. So I love that product. The other thing I like about it is they've improved the gesture control, so you can start it by holding your palm up. You can also stop the recording by holding your palm up. Now I showed you how to do it by tapping the screen on the phone, but you're going to hold your hand up as well and stop that recording. So overall, a big improvement. Now I'm going to have to test it with smaller subjects. I didn't have my dog with me, so I couldn't really test it out there in the field, but I'm going to have a lot of fun with that one. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is panoramic shots. Now, these products have provided panoramic shots where they'll take a series of pictures and sew them together to give you a nice wide view of a particular area. Well, in this latest version on the OM4, they've introduced a new type of panoramic called CloneMe. Now, when I first read about this and talked to him about it, I thought, how are you doing that? What's that all about? It's an incredibly fun thing to do, and I think you're going to have a lot of fun with it as well. Essentially what happens is it's going to take 3 pictures like that, and you can be in those pictures, but then you've got to run to the next position within 5 seconds and run to the next position within 5 seconds, and it'll sew those together, and it looks like there's 3 of you in the picture. Now, I know this seems like a bit of a parlor trick, but I was having a lot of fun with it. So I took it out to the pool, and I did a bunch of testing with it, and here's the panoramic I did out at the pool. That's a pretty cool little feature, and I think you're going to have a lot of fun with that. And you might be thinking, yeah, I can do that already in Photoshop, and maybe you can, but how cool that the product can do it just by pushing a button. Now, let me give you a little behind the scenes on this one, and maybe I'll put this footage up in a future clip. It's not coming today, but to get that picture, I had to start here, had to run to here, and had to run to there. Now, I'm a bit of an older guy, so 5 seconds seems like a long time, but to get from there to the diving board, I've really got a book. So I did pretty well with the first 2. By the time I got to the diving board, I'd done it about 10 times. I was tired. I got on the diving board, we got the picture, and a second after that, I went right in the pool. So when you're using it, just be a little bit careful with it. But I think that's a great way for you to do thumbnails if you're doing YouTube videos where you can be at a desk, be in a chair, and maybe be reading a book. And it's kind of a clever way to put that stuff together. I just think, again, the folks at DJI are thinking through how you're using this. And that feature, when I showed it to a few people, they couldn't believe how it worked, and they really wanted to try it themselves. It's just one of those fun things you can do at a party to keep things interesting. All right, the last thing I want to talk about, and there's a bunch more features I can't get to in this clip. The last one I want to talk about is a feature that has to do with dynamic zoom. Now, if you've ever seen older movies where they've got that dolly effect, dolly zoom effect, where it's sort of the foreground's coming at you, but the background's going away from you. It's a big thing that Alfred Hitchcock did in a lot of his movies. Psycho, and I think North by Northwest had in it. But it's a really cool effect where it kind of throws you off. It throws your equilibrium off because the thing you're focusing on is coming towards you as the background kind of goes away from you and gets flat. It's a very interesting effect. So on here, there's one button where you can do this dynamic zoom where you hit the button and you either walk towards the object or you walk away from the object and you're recording video. Now, I tried to do it in this field I was working in, and it was late in the afternoon, so the effect isn't as dramatic as it could be, but you can see the potential for it. Now, I'm going to do other clips coming up where I go through these in more detail and show you the settings and how to do it and walk through the different features, but for now, here's the video I took in that field. That's a pretty cool effect as well, and I'm going to spend more time trying to perfect how that works, and you'll see it in a lot of my videos coming up. Now, the only other one I wanted to talk about today is something called spin mode. They've introduced the ability for the phone to actually spin around to give you like that inception effect. So you can imagine your framing spins 360 degrees, and I'll spend some time putting that together. Matter of fact, I'll have a couple of clips coming out where I go through each of these software features individually and show you the settings I'm using. I'll put a B-roll camera together where you can see me actually doing it with the OM4 so you know exactly how to do it when you get it home yourself. So the other thing I like about this is that the firmware can be updated on the fly. So the DJI Mimo app, which is really controlling a lot of what this gimbal does, can be updated on a regular basis. So DJI could add future features in there just by doing an over-the-air update, which is a really wonderful thing. And they've done that before on their stabilized gimbals and their drones and everything else. And what you're getting essentially is a product that's incredibly smart when you get it, but it gets smarter over time. So we'll have to see what other cool things they come out with, but those are basically the digital changes they've made to the brand new OM4. I had a few final thoughts about the new OM4 from DJI and smartphone stabilizers in general. There's no doubt that a product like this can really enhance the video and pictures you're taking with your smartphone because it's going to guarantee rock solid pictures and incredibly smooth video just by clamping your phone into the gimbal. And that's not something you can do on your own because if you're holding your phone, you're going to be jiggling it and it's going to show up in the pictures. So that's why they've become so incredibly popular in recent years. They're easy to use and they do a great job. Now, if you're in the market for a stabilizer like this, there's a few things you need to keep in mind before you make the purchase. There are some physical things and some digital things. On the physical side, you want to make sure that any stabilizer you're considering can handle the phone you've got. You've got to be careful to check the weight, the width, and the thickness that the actual stabilizer that you're looking at can handle because you'd be surprised at how many of these are on the market that can only handle really small phones. And if you've got one of the larger, newer phones, it's not going to work, and you can't fake it. If the phone's too heavy or too thick, it's not going to work with the gimbal. The good news about the OM4 is they've upgraded the motor, so it'll handle all the new phones that are out there today, the bigger ones, the heavier ones, and the future phones that are coming out. So unless they get gigantic to the size of a tablet, I'm pretty sure you can handle it on the OM4. The other side of it has to do with how you mount the phone on the gimbal. Now, I talked before, actually gushed a little bit before, about this clever mounting system with the magnetics. A lot of the clamps out there are really kind of tough to get on a phone, especially a phone that's a little bit thicker or if you've got a case. What's nice again about the OM4 is they've come up with this magnetic clamp which handles really, really wide phones. All the phones on the market today can fit inside that clamp, but if you've got a phone that won't fit inside the clamp, for whatever reason, you can glue this on the back of the phone. It's a magnetic stand that you can use to attach it to the gimbal really quickly, a couple of seconds, and when you're not using it, you've got this nice little stand that'll hold your phone up for you to watch videos on. So DJI's really thought this through, and again, I called it brilliant before, and I know it seems very intuitive, and you're thinking, Rick, how can a magnet be brilliant? But nobody thought of that, and I was frustrated with the last generation of gimbals, trying to get a phone in it, try to get it balanced. It just takes so much time that I found I wasn't using it as often as I'd like to use it. This one I'm using all the time, so I really like that. On the digital side, you have to remember that whatever phone you've got has to communicate with the gimbal. And the gimbal is going to have a lot of magical features in the digital side that it wants the phone to do. So you need to make sure your phone is compatible digitally with whatever gimbal you're looking at. Now, DJI publishes a list of all the phones that this is compatible with. And in that list, you'll find that some phones can do all of the features that I've described. Other phones can only do some of them. But it's important to understand that before you buy the gimbal because the digital side of it's really what takes the gimbal to the next level. Because the stabilization side is something everybody kind of got right. But the digital side, when you've got things like Dyna-Zoom and Spin and ActiveTrack 3.0, that's where it takes your photography and your videos to the next level. When you can put this thing on a tripod, stand back from it, and do all kinds of wacky movements and have it still keep you in the center of the frame with ActiveTrack 3.0, I think that's pretty incredible stuff. Again, the good news about DJI is the OM4 is their 4th generation product. They've had 3 other Osmo mobiles out, so they've kind of learned along the way how to build software that works really well, that's intuitive to run, and really easy for the consumers to use. So I love the fact that they're building in all kinds of new features that take my Apple product to the next level where it can do things with the gimbal that it can't do on its own. So the digital side's important. The last part about digital that I think is really important as well is whatever application you're looking at has to be intuitive. It has to be easy to use, and it has to run and be solid. A lot of the smartphone gimbals out there are using first generation software that works some of the time, doesn't work other times. So stick with a company that's been in the business a little while and make sure you do your homework, read the reviews on the software side of it, because stabilization, that's a great thing to have, but those digital enhancements really make this gimbal a lot more than just a stabilized gimbal. And that's pretty much it for today. Now, I don't have a price on this yet. The Osmo Mobile 3 was about $129. They've had sales throughout the year. I think this is going to be a little bit higher price than the Osmo Mobile 3. I also understand from DJI that they're not going to stop selling the Osmo Mobile 3. So I think what you'll have is the Osmo Mobile 3 and the OM4 as two products in the product line, this being a slight upgrade over the Osmo Mobile 3. But we'll have to see. They're announcing it today, so we'll see what the price is. We'll see availability and all the rest of it. But I like this product an awful lot. I've been using it for the last couple of weeks, and I'm still amazed at the things it can do with my phone and the video footage you can take and pictures you can take. It really does change your filming experience when you're out in the field to have that stabilized footage and get all those bells and whistles around the digital stuff. So that's pretty much it for today. So if you have any questions about anything I've covered, please drop those in the comments below. I'll do my best to get back to you as quickly as possible. Also, if you're interested in this product, I've got a link below. If you use that link to go to DJI and buy the product, we get a little credit. So if you want to support the channel, hit that link and use it and go over to DJI and check this thing out. I will be doing other clips on this product and going through the software features and functions a little bit more in depth than those clips. So I didn't want to jam too much into this. I'm already probably at about a 30-minute clip, but there's a lot of magic going inside there. And I want to make sure that I take my time and go through each of those features individually. So stay tuned to the channel. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button down there. We'd love to have you join the Drone Valley family. We're doing clips like this all the time. We're reviewing all kinds of high-tech gear, including these stabilized gimbals, which I'll be doing a lot more of, and you don't want to miss anything we're posting. So if you join the Drone Valley family by subscribing, you'll get a little ding. You'll know when we post a new clip, and you can come back and check it out. So that's pretty much it for today. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, happy flying.